YouTube channel, and it's going to be called
Date Night with My Husband.
Yes. So this is actually our second video. Our first video we recorded was about me losing my job. We recorded that about a month ago, but we had some trouble posting it. We're going to keep trying to get it up. But we wanted to go over how things have been going. If you're seeing this in the future, I'm assuming, you're going to want to know that it's right around Christmas. I lost my job before Christmas, and now we have just gotten through New Year's, and we're looking to discuss how we've been feeling emotionally and how things have been going after losing my job. So I'll start off. I'm actually feeling better. It sounds weird.
What a relief.
Yeah. It's obviously very stressful losing a job. Income is a huge thing, being a father and a husband. I always looked at my primary job to be a provider. But the job I had was a very good job. I was a project manager. I was making a pretty high salary, and I was stressed all the time. I was working crazy hours. I always was taking calls from the hospital, from during dinner, whatever had to be done, I was doing it. It was a job where I worked from home, but it was also a job where I was constantly working. And I occasionally traveled, but for the most part, I was just always looking at my phone for emails or on my computer doing meetings and just always trying to stay caught up. And I would say my stress level most of the time was about a 7, and that was hard.
Mm-hmm.
It had a lot of impacts on our relationship, and I think that it also had an impact on how I was parenting, because I was so stressed. Little things were setting me off. I would be yelling, even though I'm not a yeller. And now that I lost my job, I'm still stressed because the financial implications of that. But on the bright side, my stress level is actually lower than it was before. So I'm trying to see the positives, and I've had a long career. I'm still fairly young, but I did multiple things throughout the years, and I'm looking to get back into one of the things I had started off doing in my working life, which is fixing medical equipment. So it's more hands-on, labor-intensive. It's also out of the house, so that presents some new issues for our normal schedule that we had going. But it allows me to get back into the workforce quickly. So I'm hoping to start fairly soon. I have a couple promising leads on jobs, which is nice, and not everyone has, additional skill sets to fall back on. I thought my new skill set would be something I could fall back on, but unfortunately it's not a great job market. Just starting 2024 into 2023, the job market is much different than it was in the end of 21 and 22, when you could, fall over and get 3 job offers. So yeah, it's been a little difficult to find a job, but I'm getting close, and I'm fairly positive about it. But the big thing, I think, is looking at the time that I do have, because I didn't really take vacations. Even when I took days off, I was working. So now that I'm not, I'm trying to enjoy the time I have while still being proactive in job searching. For the most part, it's been nice being home and actually being home, because it's one of the things where, even though I was working from home, I was never really home. I was at the office, just in a different room.
I definitely think that after we had filmed the first video, we went through a period of, not knowing where money was going to come from, maybe a little bit stressed for a couple of days, but then something clicked, and it was like, wow, like our relationship was actually getting better because we were spending more time with each other. And I think that just by me and him both keeping an optimistic, being positive about the situation and being optimistic, it definitely made everything so much better, where we're like, wow, the stress load is so much different because he's not always on call or always in his office, and he's feeling a little bit better because he doesn't have to deal with, work type scenarios too. So yeah, it's stressful not knowing where your money is coming from, but I also think that you're going to generally be stressed about money, so we're just cutting out the extra stress that you take on.
Yeah. I think that too, you're always going to be stressed about money, like you were saying.
For sure.
But we had bad financial practices. Like, we would spend whatever money we had when we had it, and then we were just always waiting for the next paycheck.
Lesson learned.
Yeah. Living paycheck to paycheck is something you choose to do when you have extra money. We had plenty of extra money and we spent it on whatever. But we can go back. Take my new job, once I have one, is going to be a financial setback, but that's fine, because it's more about us as a family. We can cut out coffees and whatever other expenses we might have been getting, and just kind of focus on the things that are important as a family. We can go to the park more. We can spend more quality time together, do things like that. It doesn't have to be a constant money spend, or we can't do anything because we don't have any money. Not having money is hard, but what you do when you don't have money is really up to you. You can, spend that time going to the library, reading books, try to, expand your skill set, or you could spend it with family, making quality memories, playing in the backyard, or going for walks. Just, there's plenty of things that you can do to improve your emotional attitude, your outlook, and you can make a plan to what you want to achieve, and you can work towards it. And I think that's the biggest thing for us right now.
I definitely think that's the biggest thing for us. Now we're thinking about homesteading and going that kind of route where we're growing our own food. I've been kind of going that route, making my own bread for a couple of months now, even before he lost his job, and just doing certain things that are more natural and everything like that. And I think we've really had the time to talk about what our future goals are going to be. And I think that is the biggest benefit, because we're aligned in what we want, which is to grow our own food and to have different experiences and, just do something different than the way that we've been living. And I think just talking about that and picturing the future is also something that has got us through such a difficult time, because it's a stress reliever, and we're aligning what we want together, and we have 4 children together. So, what is their future life going to look like? So I think that's been the most exciting thing is, when you have time to sit down and think about what you actually want in life, is it necessarily more money? And for us, it's not. It's developing a family unit,
Yeah, I would agree. I think that we could have all the money in the world and we would still have similar problems, where you're distracted by everything and you're not actually spending time with the people you love, even though you're in the same room with them. Mm-hmm. The reason why we've been talking about homesteading is I think that would be a good alternative to how we live right now, where the kids are constantly wanting to watch YouTube and and play video games and things like that. I think that stuff has its time and its place, but I think for the most part, we need to get them more in touch with nature, more hands-on on projects. I'm a DIYer. I love to build things. And a lot of the skills I have is from when I was growing up. My father, my grandfather showed me how to build things, showed me how to fix things, and taught me the skills so that I could, troubleshoot something and learn how to fix it. And those skills expand over time the more you do and the more you learn. But it's really important that you get those repetitions when you're younger. And I've been trying to do that more with the kids, have them, participate in using tools and looking at how something's going to occur and planning it out. It's, they're young, so it's still hard, but it's important. And I think that those are skills that will serve you well the rest of your life. I know they've served me well, so that's something we want to impart on them.
Yeah, I don't think we necessarily made a New Year's resolution individually, at least I haven't, but I've kind of projected what I want to do with the children this year, and it's getting them off TV and getting them out in nature. Because I remember when I was a kid, I was outside all the time. I was very rarely inside, and I do want that for our kids. And homesteading also gives them the opportunity to teach them how to grow their own food and be self-sufficient in the long run. So, I think it's a win-win altogether. Yeah. So I am very grateful for the time that he's had off. Again, the first week was rough.
Yeah.
You're thinking about where your money's going to come from. And we are still thinking about that, but we're being grateful for the time and this opportunity of just turning inward and reflecting as a couple, as individuals. Life is always going to throw you curveballs, but I think the biggest thing is to be positive, and it's definitely helped us out a lot, just being positive. And if one of us is feeling down, we always have another person to kind of pick us back up. I think that both of our positive attitude is really what's propelling us in our future endeavors, basically.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I want to be more out in the woods and working on things, and I want our family to be doing that as well. I think that there's always going to be time to watch movies and things like that. You'll always find that time if you're looking for it, but to make quality time out in nature, quality time building things, quality time bonding as a family, that has a very short clock on it. And before you know it, the kids are teenagers and they want to be doing their own things, which is all part of growing up. And so we need to take the opportunity now to really get that time in.
And so ironically, I think that for a while we thought if you lost your job, it would be like the worst thing to happen to our family. But it actually has become the best thing. And those who are working in a corporate job, have a spouse that works in a corporate job, or maybe a friend or whatever have you, know that it's very grueling and time consuming, and you're never truly off the clock. So I think it's kind of ironic that, something that we thought was going to be so bad if it happened actually turned out to be a really, really good thing. So
yeah, I think it's funny. I've worked a bunch of different jobs over my time, and fixing medical equipment. I was in the military. I worked in an assembly line producing cement pavers, which is a very grueling job. I did that was like 6 days a week, 12-hour shifts, and it was a very physical job. And I think back, and the money was not great, and it was just a ton of work and exhausting. But at the end of the day, when you leave, you're leaving work behind.
Mm-hmm.
You go home, you spend time with your family, you work on yourself, or you plan for your future, what you want to do. You maybe develop skills, maybe you just decompress and play a game or have a beer, whatever it is. But with the corporate job, yes, physically it's not demanding, but the stress is always there. And you may work 14-hour days, but there's someone who's willing to work 18-hour days. And that person's always trying to get a one-up.
All right, well, thank you for listening, and we can't wait to see you on episode 2. If you have any questions or comments, and always subscribe.